There's a reason I came to Georgia. That was Carson Beck earlier this year talking to Aaron Murray. And, look, I don't see how, well, we'll see what happens, but I'd be very surprised if Carson Beck doesn't wind up being Georgia's starting quarterback in 2023. And we'll just see what happens in 2024. But, you know, Carson Beck, with the people I've talked with in and around the program for some time, he's been a guy that the people I talked to at least, have been very high on for some time. I mean, years. So that this is coming to be Carson's opportunity to take over the starting spot, to win the job, um, and be the guy that that is responsible for Georgia's well-being this fall. I mean, I think he's ready for it. Seems like it to me, and we will only know if he's ready for it when we see the pressure come up. Now, a couple things here. First of all, the only guy in recent memory that's won the national championship at Georgia is Stetson Bennett, and what's going to happen, no matter what, is that Stetson is going to always be the litmus test now. The problem with that is that Stetson went through his own back and forth before winning the national championship, and for Carson, we may not see that. Well, like we might not see, oh, this guy's struggling. I mean, Stetson played in 19. He started in 20. He started after a while in 21 and 22. Obviously, was a full year starter. I mean, by the time Georgia was playing Ohio State, Stetson had played in a ton of football games. Carson's played in 7 last year, and I think he played in 4 in 2021. It wasn't a lot. This is a different situation, but there's always been, and there always is a plan. There's always been a scope in place. What people want to have happen, and I'm not. I mean, I think I'm relatively connected, generally speaking. We'll see. But there was never this discussion of Carson Beck's going to transfer from Georgia. Not from the people I talked to. That was never really seriously brought up, considered. I mean, I think you have to think about it if you're Carson or if you're, the parents of Carson Beck. But I don't think that you, even though the transfer portal was there the whole time for Carson, if you wanted to use it, I don't think that's always necessarily the best option. And I can report that the idea was always to be at Georgia, period. So, now here we are heading into 23, and this Georgia team, which is previewed in our magazine here, the 2023 season preview, down, you can pick it up down below on Dawg Post. It's so hard to show this sometimes, but in the first 3 years at Georgia, Carson Beck has seen a lot. He arrived on campus just in time for a COVID lockdown. Then he watched as three quarterbacks in front of him played merry-go-round in 2020 with the starting spot. He was there for a first-hand look as Stetson Bennett defied astronomical odds to take the job from JT Daniels for good and win not one but 2 national titles in a row. And then he says, I came to Georgia for a reason. I want to make sure that when I get my chance, I am fully capable of anything that might be thrown my way. And this is an image of Carson with Kirby Smart that I got, or Dylan Weber got. I'll be honest, after these national championship games, it's such a disaster. You can barely remember anything. But of Carson and Kirby talking after the game is an image of Carson here at Mandarin in Jacksonville from back in the day. You can pick this up down below. If you pick up Double Dogs, you get the preview for free. And one of the things that, so pick that up, the link is down below. One of the things in writing that story and all of the reporting on Carson through the years, he's not, I mean, you have to be who you are. And other people can correct me if I'm wrong here, but he certainly doesn't seem like someone who's going to be screaming and yelling all the time. That's not the way he is. And I think there's a time for that. There's always a time for that if you're playing sports. But Carson needs to be who he is, just the way that Stetson was the way he was. And I think if you're Carson, I mean the burden is of course trying to win the national championship after it's just happened in back-to-back seasons in fantastical form, by the way. I mean, it's going to be hard in the pantheon of Georgia seasons. It's going to be hard to beat the 2022 season. I mean, it was such an amazing accomplishment that to win like that, 15-0, that's going to be hard to top. But if you're Carson and them, you don't have to go 15-0 to win the national championship. You shouldn't have to try to top Stetson Bennett and company. You should just go out there and be yourself. I was reading some of the Athlon stuff earlier today, and the thinking there is that Georgia has the best offense and receivers in the SEC. That's what the assistant coach is saying in Athlon. I don't know if that's true. I mean, Dominic Lovett from Missouri is going to be someone to pay attention to for sure. Hey, make sure you're picking up your offer down below. Dawg Post Summer is the code to use when you are ordering through DoorDash. The link, when you go to DoorDash, you get $20 value, 50% off a $20 value, limited time offer, terms apply, $50 off $20 value on your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and use the code Dawg Post Summer, just like Dawg Post right here. Make sure you're taking advantage of that, y'all. Basically getting your first meal half off. Dawg Post Summer in DoorDash. Use that today. The link. You can download the DoorDash app in the App Store. But, I mean, I think for Carson, he has to just be who he is, whatever that is. And he's been a very good soldier, for lack of a better term, in all of this time. And I think he has to come out, compete. He has to come out and, take control of this thing. I don't think Kirby and them are going to announce the starting quarterback as Carson Beck. I think he's just going to be out there on the first snap. And if he's not won the job yet, then that means he can still lose it. We'll see if that's the case. I'm skeptical that he would lose the job. But, I mean, I'm old enough to remember when Jacob Eason wasn't named as the starting quarterback. I mean, that happened once at Media Days. And that was going into 2017 when he was quite clearly the starting quarterback. But I think, the other thing, too, with these quarterbacks is we don't ever know. I mean, it is my opinion that Carson gives them, Georgia, the best chance to win moving forward. But I don't know. I don't see every snap. I don't see every practice or every throw. And we will see over time what happens. But there's always injury. It's somewhat amazing. And he did get injured, Stetson Bennett. He got injured up 14-0 against the Gators in 2020. They were up 14-0 and lost that game. I mean, Stetson Bennett getting hurt didn't help. But whatever. And, that's the other thing for Carson is you don't know when it could be your last snap. And anybody, So, but he's got to take control of this. His opportunity is there. They are the favorite to win the national championship. They were not a season ago. I don't know. I don't know if that matters in any way. It is a leading indicator as to which teams are good or not. The quarterback spot is one of the few question marks on Georgia's team. That's a pretty big spot to have a question mark, but I think it's a question mark not inside the program. I think it's a question mark for folks who are, just because it's not been announced. That's not the same thing as not knowing who the guys on the team know the deal. I mean, they're pretty. It's pretty evident what's going on when you're in a practice. I mean, we always knew, but it's just not been announced, and we'll see what Carson Beck does when he, in theory, is a starting quarterback at Georgia.